All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Forgive me. Give me just a minute. I've got this room going, and then I originally created this as a Google Meet. So I also have a Google Meet window open. I'm just waiting there for a few minutes, see if anybody happens to join over in that meeting space. If that's not the case, I'll go ahead and close that out. But there was a little confusion when I was creating this because usually people that work with me who are much smarter than myself are the ones that help kind of set this up. So they left it to me, and this is where we are. So we'll give everybody a few minutes just to get in and hopefully steer them in this room if they do happen to fall into the Google Meet. Right. Perfect. Hope everybody's day is going well so far. I'm excited to share um, this presentation with you to kind of go over like the five primary pillars that we use when we are uh, doing an analysis or an audit on a client's website. Um, Show you five different marketing systems that we're utilizing. So let's see. I will go ahead and close out the Google Meet. We can go ahead and get started because we do have a great webinar planned for today. I do want to make sure that we take up as little time as possible. I know it's Saturday; everybody's got somewhere to be, um, so I do want to try to get started right away. Anyways, with that said, welcome everybody, and thanks for being here. I'm Derek Schmidt. I'm the founder of Design Loud. We're a full-service digital marketing agency based in Wilmington, North Carolina. And today I'm going to show you the five systems that every business needs to be running when they're marketing their business online. So most of you are probably already spending money on marketing already, or you're considering taking that leap. So the question is whether that um, money is actually turning into customers for you. And hopefully by the end of this hour, you'll know exactly where your gaps are, and you'll have one thing that you can at least take away from here to help you fix. And you can probably utilize AI since AI is a big trend nowadays, and it can definitely help make your work more efficient and effective. So, how many of you feel like you're confident in your marketing is actually working? And while I wait for some engagement from the chat, I do just want to let you know that this is going to be a working session, so less of a lecture, more of a working session, which is generally my style. So feel free to follow along. This should also be recorded and posted in the community, so you can always come back to this if you wanted to check it out. All right, so let me get my screen shared with you guys here, and I will hopefully get the right one going. Perfect. I believe that is exactly what we're looking for. So, again, how do you know if your marketing is actually working, right? Well, I want to show you what the data says. And today we're going to go through the five primary pillars. That's the website conversion, local SEO and Google business profile, your content, your authority, your lead capturing, and your nurturing. And then finally, last but not least, the whole social proof side of it. And that's the reputation and the reviews, right? Because it's easier to close a sale from somebody you're already doing business with, statistically speaking, but also if I refer you to a friend, they're more likely to do business with you as well because it was referred to them by somebody they know, like, and trust, right? All right, so let's dig in. I close. All right, did I? I think I did. I think I messed it up when I went to close Google Meet. I accidentally closed this meeting. So, like I said, I'm on the struggle bus today, but no worries. I think we are good to go. Cool. So without further ado, let's dive in. And I'm just rearranging some windows here. Perfect. So Basically, here's the problem. Here's what I see every week when a new business comes to us for help, right? They're spending money, they have a website, they might even be running ads, but the systems aren't really connected and they're essentially losing money at every stage, right? So think of it like a bucket with holes. You can pour all the water you want into the top, but if the bucket has holes, you're basically wasting most of that money. Today, I want to show you the 5 systems that are basically going to help you plug those holes. So look at this: 40 to 60% of leads are left on the table by businesses with broken marketing systems. I think statistically speaking, it is about 60, maybe even higher than that, 80% of people that visit your website are going to leave and never contact you or never check you out again, right? So, your primary job through your website is to keep those people on your site and lead them down the path you want them to go, right? What is the desired action you want them to take? Your website should be your top performing salesperson, right? It's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It should be a conversion engine for you. So, using that same kind of bucket analogy, you don't necessarily need more water, you need fewer holes in your bucket. And so, most businesses have pieces of these systems, but they've got the gaps in between. 72% of small businesses say that they're not confident their marketing is effective. You don't know how effective your marketing is, where your leads are coming from, what's the true return on investment or ROAS, return on ad spend, that you're spending on these different marketing channels. And if you don't know where your top leads are coming from, where your customers are essentially coming from, how do you know where to pour gas, right? How do you know where to add more water if we're using the bucket analogy? And so you just end up spending either more money on marketing as a whole instead of an individual channel or channels, or you just pull all your marketing funds all together, right? And then it kind of dries up. So that's why tracking and conversion rate optimization, it's all very important. So 400 billion plus dollars is spent on digital advertising annually by US small businesses, which is a huge number. And it's just going to continue to grow. 5 marketing systems every business needs to be running to stop the leak. Again, are the website conversion, local SEO, which includes your Google business page and local citations, content, strategy and architecture, lead capturing on the website, reviews, and reputation management. So the real problem isn't necessarily businesses. Most businesses, they have pieces of some of these systems, but again, there's no real lead capture to them. So what are the 5 systems in more detail? Let me spell those out for you. First, we're going to dig into a high-level overview of each of these 5 systems. So these 5 systems, notice I said systems and not tactics. A tactic is like running a Facebook ad, whereas a system is having a process where every lead from every channel gets captured, nurtured, and converted. So we're going to go through each one of these. And for each system, I'll show you what it looks like when it's broken and what it looks like when it's working. And I'll give you a quick self-check that you can do right now from your phone or from your laptop, wherever you're plugging in or watching this video, that you can see is yours working or not. So emphasize systems, not tactics, is a big distinction I need to make. Tell them to have, tell them to basically take whatever action you need to take or you want them to take on your website. You can have your phone ready as I'm going through this to do your own kind of self troubleshooting diagnosis. And then as far as what those 5 audit points are, those 5 pillars: website conversion system. So this is your website. It's not designed to be a brochure. Again, it's your best salesperson. Available 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. It's a machine that should turn visitors into leads or customers. And if it's not converting, that's every dollar you spend driving traffic is basically wasted. The local SEO and the Google business profile. So when someone searches for what you do in your area, do you show up? And if so, where? If your Google business page is incomplete or your local SEO is weak, then your competitors are getting those calls and you're not. Simple as that. Content and authority. So content and authority continue to remain king. As I'm explaining content and authority when I'm meeting with people, I think it's important for me to kind of go back pre-Google, right? I'm old enough to where I remember the search engines were AOL.com, Ask Jeeves, Yahoo, etc. Google came out, and their proprietary technology was they're going to take whatever a user searches for, they're going to find the most relevant piece of content, and they're going to rank and sort that content based on authority and trust scores. So that's basically Google in a nutshell. Now, as AI and search tools come out and more people are going over to AI searches, it's all based on content. AI is searching the internet for what content it can find out about you. So if you want to influence that content and what AI says about you and how often you show up, it's all going to come down to your content and your authority system. Then we have lead capture and nurture. So most visitors won't buy on the first visit. So you need a way to try to get them to trust you enough to get their information, right? Whether that be an email or email and phone number or name, whatever the case is. It could be as simple as maybe they don't submit their information to you on the first visit, but you're educating them, you're providing value, they're starting to know, like, and trust you. So by the next time you come back where they visit your website or land on your blog post or whatever, it's much easier for them to give you their information. And so what this looks like generally is like signing up for a newsletter or retargeting campaigns or follow-up sequences if they've, given you their information for some sort of download or case study or, white paper, whatever the case is. And then the last pillar, as I've mentioned, is reputation and review. I think this is one of the most important ones because 88% of consumers, they trust online reviews as much as personal recommendations. So if you have some sort of system for collecting and responding to reviews, you're going to be in great shape. I've given the example, it's much easier to sell to your existing customers. I think statistically, I don't know, 80% keeps coming in my mind, but I think it's 80% easier to sell to an existing customer than it is somebody who's never heard of you before. But also, don't underestimate the value of social proof and social influence. If I'm talking with a buddy who needs landscaping work and I've been working with a landscaper for a year and a half who's been doing my yard, I'm going to make a recommendation. My buddy is most likely going to go with my recommendation because I vouch for them, right? I've got personal experience and I speak highly of them. So it's influence. Now, with all that said, let's take a look at system one, and this is your website. So the website conversion system is basically system one, which, of course, as I said, is your website. But the number one mistake that I see is treating your website like it's an online brochure. It's not. It's supposed to be designed to be a conversion machine. So every page should basically have one job, and that's to get the visitor to the next step that you want them to take or that they want to go. So that means clear call to actions that are above the fold. And when I say above the fold, I literally mean somebody visits your website or your homepage, it's the part of your website they see right away without having to scroll. That's why we call above the fold. So having clear call to actions above the fold, a phone number that they can easily tap if they're on mobile, maybe it sticks to the bottom or the top of the screen as they're scrolling, a form that's easy to find, maybe on every page instead of just on your contact page is a really easy win. So right now, if you're following along, you can pull up your website on your phone, and I want you to see, you don't have to tell me, but do you see the phone number right away? Do you see a contact form or a button to get to the contact form right away that kind of sticks out and doesn't blend in with the rest of the navigation or buttons on the website? If you can't, then your visitors can't either. And so this is an example of traffic you're leaving on the table and leads you're leaving on the table. So again, when you're looking at your website, you're looking at your home page, kind of treat each page of your website as a landing page, right? Now, your homepage has a specific job to do. It's supposed to, first and foremost, at the very top, above the fold, unique value proposition. What is it that somebody's going to get through you that they're not going to be able to get anywhere else? What is your unique value proposition? What separates you from everybody? And then it's call to actions, right? And of course, you've got your logo and your navigation menu probably and your phone number all there. But the call to action You should have 1 to 2 of them, and that takes them of 1 of 2 places that you want them to go, where you feel like they're going to want to go. The next part of a homepage, as an example, should go over 3 to 5, empathizing with 3 to 5 pain points on what that specific customer or visitor may be feeling or need. This is to establish trust. Like, hey, we understand your problems. We've seen it. We've solved it. We're here to help. Then maybe it's brief history about you, and then 3 to 5 services or products or whatever you have on how you can help them solve their problem. And then it's social proof. And maybe within that, you have a secondary call to action, like sign up for the newsletter, or click here to download, a conversion website, conversion audit that you can perform on yourself. Again, trying to still capture their information if they're not ready to contact us right away. The social proof, that's the reviews, the recommendations, and then maybe you've got the contact form again, and then your standard footer, right? That's basically the job of a homepage. It's kind of like a sneak peek into the rest of the website. So signs that your website conversion system is broken. There's no clear call to actions on the homepage. Contact form is buried on a separate page like Contact Us, and not available on every page. So it requires the user to scroll all the way back up to the top, click the contact button, scroll down, fill out the contact form, instead of just having the contact form on every page. If it takes a long time to load, especially on mobile, you're probably losing a lot of traffic. Your phone number is not visible while scrolling, you're probably losing a lot of traffic. And if you don't even know what your monthly traffic or conversion rate is, there's a big chance that you've got a lot of opportunity for growth once you start measuring that. And it's free to do. So basically, install Google Analytics, install Microsoft Clarity. So what's a good website conversion system look like? Clear call to actions above the fold, clear phone number in the header. Maybe as I said, it scrolls with you. Page speed is relatively quick. There's a contact or a quote form visible while scrolling or on every page. You've got Google Analytics set up for tracking conversions. All right, so I'll give you a really quick example. Let me look at Design Lounge homepage. Again, using that same methodology, and I've got several tabs open, but it should follow that same kind of guideline, right? Here's our value proposition. What's going to make us different? These call to actions take somebody either immediately to our contact page or our about page, where they can meet us and find out who they're going to be working with. And that's what we've identified are the 2 most important places people want to go. Now, as you scroll down, again, here's who we are. We understand your problems. We empathize with it. We can solve it. Common questions, services, how we can uniquely help, or products or services, and then the social proof. And then guess what? Reviews and the contact form. Contact form being on every page, for example. So that's a really good example of the design, the hierarchy and structure of a homepage. Now, one other thing I wanted to show you here is if you haven't yet installed Microsoft Clarity, I strongly advise you to install the free tools Google Analytics and Microsoft Clarity. Google Analytics is going to give you some data on like how many people visit your website, where they come from, how many pages they visit, time spent, etc. Microsoft Clarity will do a lot of the same things, but a little bit more as well. And I do suggest setting up both those tools, not just one or the other. What I like about Microsoft Clarity is I can kind of see from here. This is a separate website, another business that I've got, and another website. This will tell you where people are coming from, and it will record people navigating and using your website. So in this case, let me look at this. This is a recording of a user actually interacting with my website. Now you can see here, there's no actual there's no like user data, so I can't tell who this user is unless I set that up, and I didn't. I want to anonymize that information. But this is helpful because I get to see how users are interacting with the website. And if I go into heat maps, I can get an idea on like the heat maps and where are users clicking, what do they have in common, again, viewing kind of recordings. So there's a lot that you can do with this. And the great part about a tool like Microsoft Clarity is you've got the AI component where AI can basically tell you like, hey, these are some patterns that we've noticed. You might want to change this. Now I'll give you one more plus one, and then I got to move on because I'm taking way too much time already. But I feel like I'm so excited. I have so much to share. You can use a tool like VWO. If you go to VWO, this is a split testing tool that you set up a script on your website. Should be relatively easy. They'll walk you through it. But then what you can do is create one or two or 5, 10, 20 versions of a page on your website. You can change something as simple as the color of a button, a whole section, or a whole page completely. You can run that experiment, that split test, where like 50% of your traffic sees version one, 50% sees version two. Run that experiment for 30 days or however long you want. And at the end of that 30 days, see which one converted more. Which one did you get more leads from? Then that will help you in determining what kind of permanent change you need to make on your website, right? Before you go through all the trouble of making the change and possibly getting less leads or less traffic. So you pause the loser, keep the winner, make that a permanent change, and then guess what? Rinse and repeat. Do it again. Do another split test, either on the same page, a new page, doesn't matter, but you're always split testing. Those are two wins, I hope, by sharing with you here, that will help you increase your website conversion itself. All right. So system two is more about being found when people are searching for you, right? That has to do mainly with local SEO and your Google business profile. And this is the single most underused free marketing tool available to local businesses. Google gives you this profile for free, and most businesses either haven't claimed it or they claimed it 3 years ago and never touched it again. And here's why that matters: because Google ranks your Google business page based on relevance, distance, and prominence. So you can't really control the distance of where you are, where your business is located versus where the customer is searching from. But you can control the relevance by filling out every field of your Google business profile. And you can also control the prominence by posting regularly and collecting reviews on your Google business profile. Super simple. I mean, you're already kind of doing this stuff with social media. Think of Google business page as like another social media channel, but this one helps you rank higher in Google. Now, go ahead and Google your business name right now, and I want you to see what comes up for you. So, if you need help with this towards the end, I mean, we'll go through like a little audit in real time, where hopefully you'll get some wins that you can use. But if your Google business profile, when you do a search, if it hasn't been claimed or hasn't been verified, that's you're going to want to do that right away. If it's missing business hours or the phone number or the address are wrong, you want to go in and correct those. If you haven't uploaded any photos or you haven't uploaded them in a few years, you definitely want to go in and add some photos, add some videos. If you haven't posted an update in a few months or at all, go ahead and update your Google. Post a post on Google Business and start getting into a habit of doing that regularly. Then you've got your name, address, phone number. You want this to be consistent across different directories. What do I mean by that? If your Bing places in Google Business Profile have different, company names, different phone numbers, different addresses, it's even missing like unit one or unit two on one of them and not the other. That's inconsistency. So you want to make sure across all directories, Apple Maps, Google, Bing places, Yellow Pages, all of the different directories, your name, address, phone number match across all of them. So what's a good listing look like? It's fully completed, which includes hours, services, categories, descriptions, service areas, etc. Fresh photos added monthly, weekly Google Business posts with offers or updates. There's consistent name, address, phone number across 20 plus directories, and it's appearing in the local map pack in the top 3 for any of your target keywords. That's essentially what you're looking for. So, how can you do this? How can you check your name, address, phone number? There's a really quick tool you can do. If you just go to Moz, or you can Google search Moz local citation checker. This is a free citation checker that you can use to check your local directory listings. So let me see who can be my victim here. Company name. I'll do here we go. Circa 1922. All right. If you work at Circa, I apologize in advance for this. But what I'm essentially trying to do here is find somebody to use as my guinea pig We're going to go Circa as the company name. What's the street address? We're going to pop this in. It's 8 North Front Street. And I'm only using them because they are our neighbor. And it's a lot easier to pick on them. Now I'm going to go ahead and click check. Moz is going to do its thing. Of course, Moz is trying to get me to pay for it as a service, and you don't need to pay for any of these tools. But what Moz is going to do is it's going to help kind of give me a bird's eye view on like how many places does this listing exist, and it'll let you know like where you should create directory listings or what you need to fix. Here's a bonus is you can kind of take this or you can just kind of run with this as a prompt in AI like ChatGPT or Claude and just have it analyze and assess your local citations, especially for name, address, phone number consistency. In fact, pretty certain I've got some prompts in the community for exactly how to do that for free, and you don't have to pay for any of these. And to give you one more kind of bonus is if you're using Claude, you can kind of automate going in and updating these automatically where you don't even have to physically do it. You just prompt Claude and it can go in and update all these for you while you go grab a coffee or whatever. So a lot of value there. Make sure you check out the community, or if there's something that you need that you don't see in there, just ping me. All right. So I've got no connection with Circa, but what I can see here is it's missing 44. It is incomplete on 0. 56 of them are correct. So it says here's Google, Apple Maps, Bing, Facebook. They're missing a phone number on Facebook. That's a quick win. Yelp, etc. And there's 11 more different directories. But again, this was trying to show you like how you can assess the local profile. All right, let me close some tabs out because I'm my own worst enemy when it comes to tabs, and get back to the next one. So system 3 is basically all about being an expert in your space, right? Hopefully, you guys believe everything I'm telling you here and you think that I'm an expert in my space, but it did not come overnight. So how does one appear to be an expert in their space? It's all about the content and the authority. And again, if you're trying to improve your ranking on AI search or even Google search, content is still king, and authority still matters. How do you get authority? You get other people to link to your content or quote you, or you get backlinks to your website. That's what builds local citation, or I'm sorry, that's what builds backlinks. That's what ultimately feeds and builds your authority. All right, so system 3 is all about content, and I know what you're thinking. I don't have time to write blog posts, but here's the thing. Your customers are searching for answers to questions every day that you probably have the answers to, especially if you want to be seen as a topic expert, right? So if you're not the one answering those questions, guess who is? It's probably your competitor. And when that customer is ready to buy, who do you think they're going to call? It's not Ghostbusters. They're probably going to call the business that has already helped them, that they know, like, and trust because they have received value from this business. So content's not necessarily about going viral. It's about being helpful. It's about being an expert who shows up when someone is researching. And with AI tools today, creating content is faster than it ever has been. Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying go to AI and have it completely write your content and take you out of it. That's not at all what I'm saying. But I'm saying can be used as a tool to do a lot of the research, the outline, the planning, help you during times of writer's block. Of course, you want to review and approve everything that AI writes because you want the human. You don't want to take the human element out of it. People buy relationships. They're not going to buy slop. All right, so we'll get to that in a few slides, but the no time for blogging, I mean, I can't tell you how many people have said this to me. However, where, again, do you think AI is pulling its recommendations for the best web designer in Wilmington, right? It's coming from things like frequently asked questions, local citations, content that it can find around that information. So signs that it may be broken is your blog hasn't been updated in over 6 months. There's no frequently asked questions page answering common customer questions. That is a red flag. Social media is only self-promoting posts and no real personality or value base or ethos behind any of that. No video content of any kind, and the website doesn't rank for any of the non-branded keywords. Non-branded means it is not your company name. That's easy to rank for. I hope you rank for your company name. So if you're not ranking for any of the non-branded keywords, those are all potential issues you have with content. All right, so what's a good one look like? Publishing helpful content about 2 to 4 times per month. Doesn't have to be crazy, and you don't have to write 5,000 word long blog posts or whatever. You do want to put yourself in the shoes of your customer and what they may be searching for, and create content around those pillars. Content answers the questions your customers are actually asking, right? Mix of formats may include blog, video, social, email. Here's a little tip for you. Take a video, could be your iPhone, sit in a room, record whatever, content you want to say about the topic you think your customers are looking for. Anticipate like what they're asking and record a video of you answering that. Take that video. You can use AI for that, but you can turn it into a blog post from the video transcript. You can upload the video to YouTube. You can cut that video up into several short videos using online tools or AI or something like Opus Clip. Now you've got social media videos and reels that you can use, and you can summarize that transcript into different snippets that you can use in your email marketing to drive traffic to the video you just posted, the social media posts that have that same topic, or the blog post, right? Now you create this evergreen engine that just constantly feeds itself based on one video that you've created. Now, each piece does have a clear call to action, a clear next step. That's also a really good green flag when it comes to content and authority. And then, of course, ranking for some of the top 10 relevant non-branded search terms that you may be looking for. So I don't want to hear the whole we don't have time to do it. I think the biggest thing you can do is creating good content for your brand and your website to be seen as the industry expert, because it's going to help all these other things. And what's even better is you don't have to rely on a paid ad budget to get you leads anymore when you are ranking organically and people are basically selling themselves because you're helping them, you're providing value, and they know, like, and trust you. All right. Now, there is a quick win section we're going to get to here in a little bit. We'll kind of go through some of this and what that is. But I know, in addition to SEO, AEO, answer engine optimization, is big. That's basically what AI is using now to rank things. To give you a quick breakdown of what AEO is, answer engine optimization, it's basically frequently asked questions, whether that be in pages or within pages. It's a low effort, but it has the highest impact on content you can create and showing up in these AI searches. So hopefully that's another quick win for you. The fourth system here is what happens after someone finds you, right? Now, system 4 is the one that makes or breaks everything else in your funnel. You can have a great website, amazing local SEO, and killer content, but if someone visits your website and leaves without giving you their info, you basically lost them, and it's really, really hard to get them back. So the average person does need 7 to 13 touch points before they buy. It's that 7 to 11 is what I usually say, mainly because it rhymes. 7 to 11 touches to a sale. The simplest version is offer something valuable in exchange for an email address, like a free guide, a checklist, a consultation. Then set up a 5 email sequence that goes out over the next 2 to 3 weeks. And that's basically it. That alone will help convert more leads than you're probably getting now. So 7 to 13 touch points, that is the stat that makes the nurture click for people. Free quote, checklists, guides, consultations. I mean, you've seen these as you've navigated the web, but I want you to think about your last 5 leads. Are they in your CRM? Do they get some sort of follow-up sequence? Like, how are you nurturing those? And are you doing it manually or is it automated, right? The simplest version of this is something like a MailChimp, creating 5 emails. You can use the free tier for that. But the signs that this would be broken is there's only one way to contact you, and that's through the generic contact form on your page. There's not any kind of lead magnet like free guides, checklists, or consultations. Leads do go into your inbox, but they get lost, or maybe you're not following up with them because it's not automated, and you don't know how many leads you got last month. If you can't name those, you probably have a problem. Now, what this looks like when it's performing well for you: multiple capture points, which may include pop-ups, inline forms, exit intent, lead magnets that provide real value, CRM or email tool that tracks every lead, automated nurture sequence of 5 to 7 emails over 2 to 3 weeks. And then monthly reporting on leads, conversion rate, follow-up rate, etc. Now, if you don't have a CRM or you don't have an email marketing platform, that's where a tool like the software that I built, Swell, comes into hand because it has all of these features. Now, of course, you can turn these on or off, but it has all of these features that you can use, and that includes like a CRM with a sales pipeline, so you can see all the leads. It's got email and email marketing, and it also has workflow automations. And the value with something like this is you can say, for example, when a new lead comes in, let's go in and create a workflow. Oh, plus it's got the AI. But when a new lead comes in, so new lead created, we want to send an email, and that email will be, welcome or some sort of nurturing sequence. And we can add a condition here. So, for example, let's say conditions. If they don't open the email, then do this. If they do, then do that. And as I zoom out, you can see this can get really granular. And we've already got some templates that you can use here, but you don't have to use something like this. You can use something like MailChimp. There are tons of ways you can do this, right? The point that I'm trying to make is make sure that you are tracking your leads and your CRM, and you've got some sort of automation set up with nurturing them. All right, the last system, and it's the one that most people skip. You've heard or maybe you've read the book Raving Fans. You've heard the term sales funnel. Most people think of the sales funnel as like top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel, and then that's it. Like once you sell them, that's done. That's not the case. The last step in that sales funnel, I believe, is the most important, and that's creating the raving fans. 88% of customers trust online reviews as much as personal recommendations. Let that sink in for a minute. So this is one that most business owners know they should be doing, but they're not doing it systematically. Reviews, they're like the modern word of mouth, right? I always read reviews before I buy things, before I'm working with somebody. In fact, it's more authentic to me if it's not all 5-star reviews, if I can kind of get a little bit of bias information on them. So when someone's deciding between you and a competitor, they're probably going to check Google reviews. If your competitor has 87 with a 4.8 rating and you have 12 with 4.2, they're probably going to call your competitor. But the fix to this is simple. I mean, you just build a process after every job or every sale, every project close, every positive interaction. Send a text or email with a direct link to your Google review. Make it easy, make it automatic. In fact, 3 years ago, I think we were probably at like 19 reviews, and I'd been in business for, let's see, if it was 3 years ago, I'd been in business for like 12 years at that point. I ate my own pudding here. I don't know if that's the right analogy. It probably sounds good, but in other words, I drank my own Kool-Aid. Let's go with that. I drank my own Kool-Aid, and we developed a process and a system for generating reviews. And now we are approaching 200 reviews, and we're roughly at the 4.8, 4.9. Okay, so it can be done. 50 plus Google reviews with a 4.5-star rating is good. Automated review requests after every job or sale is a good sign. Every review, whether it's positive or negative, gets a response. New reviews are coming in weekly, and reviews featured on your website and social media, as you saw from my earlier example on Design Lab. So signs that this process may be broken is you've got fewer than 20 reviews. There's no process for asking or collecting more reviews. Negative reviews sit unanswered. Reviews are older than 6 months, and there's no reviews on industry-specific platforms, especially if you're like a medical practice, right? They've got specific review platforms that you can utilize, which not only go to like Google Business, but all the other ones as well. So take a second and check your review count. Check out some of your competitors, see how many reviews they have. What's the average rating? Are they responding to them? What are they including in their response? Google is going to reward engagement on your Google business profile. So that's the updates, the posts that you're posting, the events, the response to reviews, even negative reviews. Make sure you respond professionally, objectively, show that you care. Prospects do read those reviews, and in my opinion, I think they're more important than positive reviews. Now, I have done a whole lot of talking in what feels like a short time, but I know it's been a long time. So let's put all this into practice. Let's go through. Let me take a quick break here and see from my screen if I have any questions in the chat. I don't see that I do. So digging right in, let's get into an actual audit of this. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a business. I'm going to go with, um, this is the question. I don't want to go with, let's find a plumber. Hopefully I don't have this person watching this video anytime soon. All right. I see a lot of ads. I see a lot of stuff here. Okay, so let's take the first listing that came up, JS Mints Plumbing. I know nothing about JS Mints, but we're going to dig in to that one. All right, so looking at this website, it's a lot going on. I can tell you just from a desktop point of view, there's so much space in the header. It does have a lot of the key information we're looking for. I can see that they're licensed. I can see a phone number. I've got the ability to schedule an appointment, address, navigation. Here's the call to action. Comprehensive plumbing repairs and renovations. I do see a promo here, so that's something that, I think may be working for them. But here's where I feel like they are missing the boat. One is this section, this header, takes up about 25, maybe 40% of my screen, right? This is the most important part of any website is the above the fold. So for this stuff to take up about 40% of my screen, and it kind of competes with all this stuff, my eyes don't really know where to go. There's no order to things, color changes, etc. Assuming we read, well, it's not an assumption, most of us do read top to bottom, left to right, right? So my eyes are going from here to here to here, down, here, here, and then all through this, right? So I'm really not even getting to this promo until like the very end of my eyes scrolling. Then I'm probably going to scroll the rest of the page. And again, I mean, good information, roundabout what you would want to see here. But again, this kind of takes up almost the whole viewport, this picture here. And if I scroll to the bottom, there's no easy way for me to contact them without, clicking through to a link or right here. But what happens if I'm like at this stage of the page and I'm like, oh, I want to contact them? I have to scroll all the way up, compete with my eyes again to find the link. Oh, that's not even a link. I thought that would be a link. So compete with my eyes and get to this button or the contact us at the bottom, right? So that's an example of just the layout of a page. I can continue breaking that down across the different pages of the website, but that's a quick 2-minute opinion on JS Mint. Now let me back up and let's try this. Well, without even doing another search, I've got the sponsored results. So these are ads. And then I've got here the Google My Business pages. So ironically enough, I do have sponsored listings here, this one, but these are organic listings. Notice how JS Mints isn't in this list at all, right? Interesting. So if I do a search for JS Mints, let's go JS Mints Plumbing Service, Wilmington. All right, I have their Google My Business profile here. Close. This is, I'm sure these are great people, but this is my feedback. I think this is a very weak description. You have the ability, I think it's like 1,000, 3,000, 5,000 character limit. They are using one sentence. This is a great opportunity to put in keywords for what you want to show up for, right? I mean, you want it to be legible and read like a human, but this is a perfect example of an underutilized description from their Google My Business page. Reviews, here's from the website. What's new? So I do see that they've been posting on Google My Business, but unfortunately it's been since 2025, December 31st, 2025. So again, just kind of leaving money on the table by not staying active on this. And I bet if they did, backing up a couple steps, they'd probably have a much better shot at showing up when people are doing the Google search for plumbing in Wilmington, NC, without them having to pay for it or rely on that first organic position. Now, coming back to the website real quick, I did want to speak about the architecture of this because notice in the bottom left-hand corner of my screen as I'm hovering over these links, I get an idea of the structure and the hierarchy of the content strategy is basically what I'm saying. Now, when I say content strategy, think of it in terms of, actually, I've got an example. If you'll bear with me just a moment. Classic kitchen. All right, so check this out. This is what I mean by structure. This is essentially like a hierarchy of a website. So this is a sitemap that we were doing for a client. And as an example, you've got your homepage here. This would be your about page, as you see, but under the about, as I zoom in, you've got a sub page for team, process, blog, frequently asked questions, finance. Then you've got a secondary page, what do we do, or services. And within that, you've got kitchen remodeling, kitchen design, bathroom remodeling, kitchen and bath cabinets, new construction, etc. Then you've got portfolio, and that would include kitchen portfolio, bathroom portfolio, and then other rooms. Then you've got contact us, and then you've got locations secondary page. That location secondary page has Harrisburg and Wilmington, and clicking on either of those links has its own set of secondary pages. That's what I mean by content hierarchy and structure. Now, as far as content pillars, I'm sure when we get into the next section, for sake of time, we'll get into that. We'll have AI kind of help with that. I noticed on the JS Mints website, if I go back, or the Google My Business page, they do have 4.5 reviews, or I'm sorry, 4.5 stars, 109 Google reviews. So there is opportunity here. Let me see the last time they posted a photo, 2 years ago. So they haven't posted any photos since. Really underutilizing their Google My Business page. Here you go, a year ago, but that's it. Not a lot. So that's an example of how you can just be active on Google, your business page, and capture some of that traffic locally. So, all right, we've got about 12 minutes left. And before we wrap, I wanted to give you some quick wins. Now, of course, you've got all the prompts in the community that you can use. And I highly suggest just going to the search bar in the community, checking that out. For example, if I go here and I just go to search, it would be something like Google My Business. You can do a search for that and you can come up or find all the different things that we've posted around, like Google My Business, including comments, posts, prompts, etc., even tutorials. But to give you an example of what I'm talking about, let's go to, we'll use Claude for this. I personally prefer Claude for a lot of the AI stuff that I've been working on. And I will go ahead and just use the chat feature. You can use the free version of Claude. Now, what I'm showing you here, you can also use ChatGPT, or you don't have to use Claude. But let's do this as an example. So let's say we want to optimize. Well, I'll do a couple things in the time that we have together. First, let me grab this URL, copy link address. I'm going to go to Claude, and I'm actually going to, can I do this? Use voice mode. Can I do that? Or how do I? All right, I'll type it. You are an expert in SEO and AEO, and I want you to analyze this client's website, or this website. You can say my website. It doesn't have to be this client. This client's website from an SEO ranking standpoint. Help me with content pillars and website architecture, as well as SEO, AO recommendations we can make to improve ranking. Improve ranking and conversion rate. I mean, there's so many different angles you can take with this. But from here, I'm going to paste the website. Let's see what it comes back with. Maybe at the end of this, I'll send this to Mintz Plumbing. All right, so this will take just a second, but as that's going, what I also want to do, and I'm especially excited about the content pillars side and showing you that, but I do want to show you the Google My Business profile, or Google Business Profile is what they've changed the name to. I'm an OG. Sometimes I even call Google Ads Google AdWords because I'm that old. But I want to show you how to optimize that as well. So I'll go ahead and kind of get this next prompt ready. Now I want you to analyze my local, I'll say this client's local citations and Google Business Profile for local SEO and come up with recommendations. Oh, but it did not copy the Google Business Profile URL. So let me make sure I've got that. Make sure that does not copy. And here we go. Share. Copy this link. And come back over here. Paste that link, and I will get ready to post that. All right, so it's already done that analysis. It's been 3 minutes. Current state, here's the platform. It's a Thrive website. I'm sorry for them. It's got about 7 pages indexed, domain authority, strong local roots, 60 years, but they've got a weak digital footprint, service area that it covers, top diagnosis. The site reads like a 2012 era brochure. Pretty spot on. Has trust foundation of 60 years, family owned, but it throws away every ranking and conversion opportunity that foundation should produce. Scrolling down here, the top SEO issues that it found on the website, relatively easy fixes. Again, I can kind of feed this and say, I want you to go ahead and fix this. But check this out. This is really where I wanted to draw your attention for the rest of this. When I've mentioned content pillars here, think of pillars. In this case, this gives a good visual representation. If emergency plumbing is one of the search terms we want to rank for, that would be pillar 1, for example. And that's currently their strongest current positioning. But it needs its own dedicated page and not just a banner on the website. That page would help them own, emergency plumber Wilmington NC, 24-hour plumber, etc. Then I've got drain and sewer, water heaters, poly, but why lean, repiping, coastal NC plumbing, etc. All right. Then it gives me the recommended website architecture for this. Now look how different this looks compared to what is currently in their navigation. What this also does is it gives Google enough content. For example, if somebody searches drain cleaning Wilmington NC, now there's a dedicated page on the Mintz Plumbing website. If they search residential plumbing, there's a dedicated page on this website and all these secondary pages that help prove domain expertise on residential plumbing. So it's only helping them rank more. And then it goes on to some of the other secondary pages. This is a good example of how I can say, okay, great, Claude, help me, do these edits on my website, or help me write this content, or whatever the case is, right? Then it gives me some specific answer engine optimization recommendations that I can make, and a content structure for showing up on AI searches, like quick facts, common questions, how much does water heater replacement cost, as examples. All right, so this all looks great. Agreed. Now, the next and last step for this that I wanted to demonstrate was this covers the website. Let's take a look at the local Google My Business page optimization. I hit enter here. And I will give it just a minute, but what it's basically doing is applying that same methodology to the Google My Business page. And it's searching the different directories, so Better Business Bureau, Angie's List, Yelp, Yellow Pages, ILM Weekly, Build Zoom, So again, all the different citations, and it's looking for name, address, phone number, consistencies. It's also looking for optimizations that it can make on the Google My Business page. And we are getting there, and I'm doing exceptionally well on time. I have to go ahead and give myself a pat on the back because I think we're going to end right at 1 o'clock, which is spectacular. All right. Perfect. So it's saying here it could not access the share link directly because Roblox blocked it. However, it was able to pull an estimate on the Google Business Snapshot, and some of this is legitimate, but I mean, most of this appears to be legitimate. There are ways to get around this where Claude or AI can pull it. What I did was I basically gave it the share URL directory or specifically. Now, another thing I can do if I wanted to was come here and just kind of screenshot this listing, and I can upload that to Claude and said, give me the feedback based on this. Now, what this is showing me here is, again, a suggested description, but it also shows me inconsistencies on name, address, phone number. And it shows me inconsistencies with business name variations and years in business, right? So it's giving me all the changes that I need to make, where to do that, and it gives me recommendations that I can implement on my Google business profile in order to rank higher and have more consistency and more luck with Google. So again, with both of these things, I could then follow this prompt up with, okay, given everything you know about the website and the Google business page and citations, give me a 90-day plan on how I can go through and address all of this or fix these things. And then it's on you to go in and actually do that. Okay, so let me shut up. I hope you have received value from this, and please feel free to share it with anybody you feel like might get value from this. But here's my offer. If you want me to do this kind of a full audit for your business, I'll do it for absolutely free on a 30-minute discovery call. I'll go through all 5 of the systems. I'll show you exactly where your gaps are. And with 48 hours of that, you'll have a written roadmap and prioritize action items that the roadmap is basically yours. You can keep whether you decide to work on it with us or not, or have a friend work on it or do it yourself. If you know anything about me, my business, there's no pitch here. There's no pressure. I'm not going to hound you to try to work with you. I've got a roof over my head. My kids are fed. Like, I'm happy. I'm not hungry for business. I honestly, personally, just feel like I live in my dharma by helping business owners in this community grow, because it's a life that I've been able to create for myself. And prior to that, I was going to school to be a teacher. So I just naturally have that inclination to want to teach and inspire and help people. So you can ping me on the community here in Circle via direct message. You can shoot me an email, book anytime. There's also, you can just go directly to our Calendly link, and I'll paste this in the community as well to book directly discovery meeting. Like I said, there's no pitch. At the end of it, you will have some very clear action items on what you can accomplish and where you can potentially separate yourself from your competitor, all while improving and increasing your business, hopefully without having to spend a ton of money on marketing. Outside of that, thank you guys so much for your time today and joining me, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. All right, and again, if you have any questions as you're reviewing this, feel free to tag me in the community. Hopefully this has done its job. I'll shut up and stop talking now because clearly I need something to drink, and I've also had too much coffee, if that makes sense. All right, later, guys. Let me know if I can help. Thanks so much. Bye.